Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending this is an informational meeting for the 14 Mile Road and Main Street resurfacing project, which is scheduled to begin basically on April 16th, which is just a few weeks out. So at this time, I would like to, well, first of all, my name is Harry Drinkwine. I represent the city's engineering department. And to my left is Michael Smith. He is a civil engineer with our engineering firm of Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick. And there's Frank Pranos on the right. He is the representative for the construction company, which is the Florence Cement Company, which will be conducting the operation. So the way I would like to handle this is that Mr. Smith here is going to give sort of an overview of exactly what is going to be done, a little bit of the scheduling on that. And then once that information is presented, then we will open it up to questions for anyone that has any questions, as far as their concerns, how it affects their particular business, and so on. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mike.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending. Like Harry mentioned, I work with the city's engineering consultant, and I will be the project engineer for this project. This project consists of asphalt resurfacing of 14 Mile Road between Washington and Bellevue and Main Street between Broadacre and Gardner. In addition to the mill and fill with the asphalt, we'll be doing some select curb repairs, sidewalk repairs, driveway repairs, as well as a concrete base course that may exist under the asphalt. Some of that we won't be able to see until they mill off the asphalt, and when that happens, we'll determine what areas need to be repaired at that time. As for the scheduling, we're planning on doing this in 2 stages to help move this project along as quickly as possible. Our open to traffic date is around July 1st. With final completion being sometime towards the end of July. The final completion will include all the restoration, like sodding and stuff like that. But open to traffic will mean all the asphalt mill and fill's been completed, all the concrete work is done, the pavement markings are completed, and it's completely open to traffic. Florence is scheduled to start working around April 16th. What they'll do is in stage 1, they'll start shifting traffic over to the south side on 14 Mile Road, and we'll be shutting down the north half of the road so they can occupy the 2 lanes on that north half. In addition to that, we'll be working on the east half of Main Street between Gardner and Broadacre, and traffic will be restricted to 1 way each way, north and south, on the west half of Main. Once we complete stage 1, we'll be shifting traffic probably sometime mid-May or so, depending on weather and if things go as smoothly as we hope. In stage 2, we'll be working on the south side of 14 and then the west half of Main Street. And like I said, hopefully this thing is done by July 1st.
At any time, when we're done with the discussion portion of this, in the back, if you'll notice across the rear counters, are the actual plans indicating, or they're highlighted as far as the phasing on what's done first, how the laneage is blocked off while the work is actually being done, and then where it switches over to the opposite side. During this process with the traffic shifts, there's also going to be left turn restrictions at 14 and Main because of the way that's set up, because you're shifting traffic from one side of the road to the other. You're only going to have 2 lanes or bi-directional traffic. If you were to allow left turns, traffic would never move because they would stack up, especially during rush hour. So it's going to restrict left turns basically all 4 ways when it goes into that mode. I think at this time I would entertain any questions anyone has pertaining to any of this. or if you want to take the opportunity to look at the plans and then come back with questions, whatever you're comfortable with. This is a perfect audience. Don't be shy. Yes.
Are we doing, you do concrete and asphalt over the top of it again? Like, cause I've,
Once you're going to see what it really looks like underneath there. Once they mill off the existing asphalt, some of it there's concrete underneath. Some of it's got 14 inches of asphalt underneath. When they widened the road years ago, it's kind of like a quilt. So, to be perfectly honest with you, we did core samples throughout to get an idea of what's there and the thicknesses and so on. You can't really know every single area, but we have a general idea how it's set up. So once that's milled off, we'll see.
I just wondered maybe instead of putting asphalt down, we might just concrete so we wouldn't have to do it.
Well, that would be nice, but you just kick in another $2-3 million and we'd be good to go. But yeah.
Money guy.
Yeah.
How much is actually milled off?
We're milling down 4 inches, and so we're doing pretty heavy duty mill and fill on this project. So when it's said and done, it should last a little while.
And again, it's the base or the subgrade, what's underneath it, the existing concrete or the existing asphalt that's under it. As far as if we're finding areas that have failed, bad areas, whatever, those get cut out, they get replaced so that the final coatings, the 2 layers of asphalt that go on it, are on a solid base. The last time this was done, I believe, is in 1995, and then prior to that would have been in, I think, like 81. So, I mean, if you look at the longevity as far as how long it lasts, I think that the mill process here, the way this was designed now, is actually better than the one that was done, let's say, back in 95. So we anticipate that it's going to hold up for quite some time.
Worst case scenario, you run across a bad spot. What happens then? How far back do you go from that to, and you go all the way down to take everything out, go down to dirt to fix the bad spots? What's the worst case scenario?
If it's a repair after we mill it off, and you're talking about like a repair underneath, we'll take as much as we can to repair that area. So we've got a bunch of quantities included in the project for concrete and for asphalt patching, because like Harry mentioned earlier, there's some sections out there that are completely 14 inches of asphalt on 14 Mile Road. But then there's some sections where you might only have 4 inches of asphalt over top, 8 inches of concrete. So it's going to vary, but if we do come across a repair, we're going to try to fix it, because we don't want it to fail later on.
Right.
Yes.
On 14 Mile, on the outer lanes, they're sunk quite a bit. Will that be addressed at the same time? Will everything be level? Or is that because of sewer water issues that it's?
You talk about on the curb lanes where it's so bad, that's all taken care of at the same time.
Yeah.
For example, with phase 1 on 14, it's the 2 westbound lanes. They will be closed completely, and you have barricades set up in the center lane. And that gives them the opportunity. They mill it off. They have to open, expose all the manholes, catch basins, and so on, determine the condition of those. Those get rehabilitated. And again, any bad concrete, anything underneath it. So it's all done at the same time so that we don't have this problem again, what you're seeing now, for quite some time.
Right, and if the curb's busted in those areas or it's deteriorated, we're taking that out and fixing it as well.
With concrete. Yes.
Sewer and water.
Water and sewer actually has been taken care of. Back when we did the reconstruction of West 14 from Washington back to Crooks, we ran a new water main, actually all the way from Crooks down to Bellevue and south on Bellevue to the south city limits. So all of the water throughout there has been taken care of. In the more recent, or I say recent, in the past 5 years when we did the SRF project with the sewers, anything that needed to be addressed or lined, whatever was done at that time. So we feel very confident that we're good to go with that. That's a very important issue for us, that whenever you do a road project, you address the issues underneath before you do the road. So we're in good shape.
So
Yes.
when we close down the
customers still be able to access into the lots?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. They'll be able to,
Entrances for mine, are you guys gonna close down one of mine?
which,
I'm with Ace Hardware.
yeah, and again, I was in there the other day when I handed out notices and I talked to the gentleman up front. I will be coming back to talk to you personally or reaching out so that we can coordinate the exact time when that happens, because I questioned at the time, how many deliveries a week, when do you get them? I know how those semis pull in there and how they have to back up, so that's got to be coordinated, and obviously,
You gotta talk to some of the other businesses, cause a lot of the beer trucks pull through my
Well, I know.
lot to get into the.
yeah. And I mean, it's like the other day, it's an ongoing problem, has been for years. People will pull into your easternmost driveway where the dumpster and your loading dock is because they're stacked up in traffic, and then they drive down the sidewalk, literally that brick sidewalk and part of the driveway. So there's a lot to be addressed there. But yeah, we will coordinate that with you. There's a lot of coordination that needs to be done, as I mentioned in the notice. If it's a business that has a single driveway only access, and there are a few out there, we have to coordinate that. And as far as, does it need to be gapped, or in other words, half done at a time versus the other? What we try to do and encourage, and it's honestly worked in other projects that we've done like this, is that I go out and try to deal with, let's say, the neighboring business. So for a brief period of time, if there has to be a shared access or usage, whatever, it speeds up the process. If we had to go through with each driveway and gap it and do half at a time, and you pour the concrete and it's got to sit for a week, then you're just stretching out this project. So we are going to, case by case and, address by address, deal with any special conditions that we have to. Any other questions? And I'm sure there will be more. I will also leave, I think my office number is on that form, but the one thing that did cross my mind is the city is not open on Fridays. So if you were calling our office because of any kind of an issue, you'd end up with a recording. I don't get Fridays or take Fridays off, especially with projects like this. So I'm going to put my cards in the back, has my cell number on it. Please call my cell number if there's an issue whatsoever. There will also be an inspector from our engineering firm on site at all times during the operation. People can reach out to them as well. You also have the DDA director that I'm sure you guys have contacts, or I'm assuming emails and whatever. So one way or another, you'll always be able to reach out and contact us if there's any kind of an issue or concern. Yes? But I can't understand her at that distance with my hearing.
Sorry, with the driveway,
Hold on.
or if we only have one driveway in our business, when do we discuss that? Today, or?
I would prefer to actually come out and meet with you and look at the driveway and look at what all the different options are that work best for you and work best for us. So that would work best rather than just try to say it here. Yes?
Troy had asked us, how the fire truck in and out works.
Oh, I've done this before, so.
Yeah, we've had that. No, actually, I met with Troy earlier, and then we're going to go over the plans again, basically where they flip them around, and depending on what the setup is, where they can go the other way.
They always leave me one way out. So we just turn the trucks around.
Right.
The only, one truck is only can leave one way, he just has to make a hard left. We've done it before, guys.
Yeah, that's a little difficult making that turn even in phase one with bi-directional tread now. So,
Well, sometimes you just, go a different way.
I keep hearing they can push cars. I've heard that.
Bad plan. You get a crowbar when you do that.
Yeah. Any other questions? If no other questions, if you would please take the time to look at the plans in the back. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please let us know. Ask now, ask later. I'll put those cards back there now.
hang out down back there. Or just hang out back there for questions.
We'll go in the back and
I like it better being in the audience, by the way.